Hello, CIS30A. In this video, I'm re-recording Lab 5, Part C for our lab where we use Tkinter to display GIF image. For this particular video, the reason why it's being re-released is because in the last video that I did, there was some portion of the code that was left off. So some students had notified me and I wanted to record the video just to clarify and show you the code. And so in our lab, we are to create an application or a program in Python that uses Tkinter. Um, Now for your GIF file, most of you will be using an animated GIF. So this is why the video is being recorded, to show you how you can work with the GIF image that is animated. Make sure that your image is saved in the same folder as your Python file. Otherwise, it will not work, because if you don't specify the Python path, the file that is the GIF image, the path of it, it will not work. So we would need to declare the image as the file name, and then we are going to create the label that contain the image. We're going to use a variable that's going to store some explanation on the image. And then we are going to use a second variable that passes the previous variable and create a main loop. So here's the program. You just need an import statement at the top, and we are using Tkinter. Make sure that you have Tkinter installed. And so we talked about how to be able to install your packages. So making sure that you do that in your IDE. In this case, I have an import statement I use from Tkinter, and I import and I use an asterisk. This is a way that we can use an asterisk as a placeholder, or a way that we can identify our library bringing it in. We create an object called root. And this is a normal common practice. This is an object of Tkinter. As you can see that it's using TK class here. Now for a moving image, we need to make sure that it's loading each of the image as frame. So as a group of image, you're going to see the animation. So the next variable we're going to have is going to be frame CNT. This allows us to specify the number of frames that we're working with. And if you're using a GIF that has high number of frames, you got to be able to tweak this number. Otherwise, it would not work accordingly. In the next line here, I have frames as a list. So here is where you want to bring down the frame count. But with that, we are using photo image from the library, which is Tkinter. And within that, this is a method that we brought in from the library. And for its parameter, we want to be able to specify the file. Make sure that your file name is in the single quotation mark, and it is exactly how you name your file, as it is saved to the same folder of this particular program. So I have my file name as PC, and I wanted to include the GIF extension here, and I wanted to place that inside the quotation mark. After that, we would use a comma to separate the parameter. And for the format for the GIF, because it is animated, we're going to specify the format as a variable. And we want to say that we are going to use the index to be able to access each frame of that particular animated image. So as it's going to loop through, it's going to pull each frame, and as a group of frames, you're going to see the animated picture. The next part right here is going to be a for loop. This allows us to access each of the frame as index in the indices of your moving image. So we want to say for I in range, and we want to pass frame CNT or frame count that we previously defined. And make sure that we enclose that because it is a list. For the next part of the program, I have a function, and the function is called update. And here I want to use the parameter that we're using here. We're going to pass IND, which is going to be our index. So inside this function, we're going to define frame, and frame is going to be a list of the individual frames combined, which is going to be accessed as index. So as it's going to pull through, it's going to update each of the frame as static image, and combine, it's going to give you the animation. For the index, we're using the compound operator here as it is +1 to itself. And we want to declare, or we want to specify the condition as if index is going to be equal to frame count, it's going to be 0. So frame count is going to be 12. So we want to start as the first index. So it's going to continue to go back to the first frame. So your animation will continue to loop. Then we're pulling in the label, which is what was required. And we want to configure this label. Its parameter is going to be the image and the frame. So because we're going to load the frame for the image, that's part of the configuration for the label. Remember the Tkinter layout image on top of a specific object so that will be your label. Then after that, we have the root. And so root was defined up here as a global object. So we're going to bring that down. And we want to use after method to be able to pass the 100 as it's going to do update. So it is a recursive function or method where it is calling itself. And as it does that, it's going to continue to access the indices. So you would have continue animation until the program is stopped or the window is closed. So here we want to be able to use the value. Again, if you're using, depending on the type of GIF, you might want to be able to specify the frame or how many frames and this particular value. So we're calling the function in itself, and then we're going to use the third parameter, which is going to be the IND or the index. Now this index is part of this function compared to the I up here is the index part of the list frame. Next, we're going to create a label as we are using the label here. So our label is going to be an object of the label class. And for our parameter, we're going to lay the label on top of the root window, which is where you have to pass the root here. And after we create the object, we want to pack it. And this is required. So we use the pack method with the object. And then for the root, we want to use the after method. We want to start with 0. We want to update and we want to end with 0. And lastly, in order to wrap everything up and making sure it works, we have to use the main loop. And the main loop is going to be able to access the root object. So in this particular program, now we have Tkinter. We create object for our root. We create object for our label. And for this, we're using the label to be able to configure the animated frame and access individual frame to really display the moving images or the animated images. So here, as we run this program, you can see that it is animated and it will continue to go until you close this window. So as it does this, our program, right, was designed to be able to access the image as an animated GIF. So I hope that this clarifies some questions. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And I hope this video clarified what you need to do as part of the lab for Tkinter. Thank you for watching the video.